Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where today we are looking at my third race of BRKC 2025, which is round 3, heat 6. This is still on the alternate layout which you would have seen on the last video, which is completely different to the regular Formula Fast layout where they pull the circuit apart and make something new just for this event. This race is the first race of the Sunday morning, carried out at 8 AM, nice and early, and we're all feeling it a little bit after a full day's worth of racing, doing your own races, then hanging around, watching your teammates' races, watching everything else that's going on. Bit of a late night, and then you start again early in the morning. But you've just got to shake it off and get going. Have a couple of coffees, maybe a Red Bull or a Monster, and get out there, focus. So yeah, we're just heading out on our out lap, which will then be leading on to the flying lap, which will give us our quali times, and then we will form up for the race. So everything is nice and cold and slippy, being in the middle of January, but the karts have been warming up with the engines on in the pit lane, but it doesn't do a lot, so it's a very cold track, so quite tricky. So we're starting our flying lap, chuck it over the hairpin, try and push myself in the kart there, gain a bit of momentum, try and get up to speed. That line was a bit tight there, although it did feel more middle of the track. I'm trying to put things into play that I learned in yesterday's race. Trying to learn the correct lines. I'm losing momentum, I can feel it in the car, it's just not there, pushing it along. And round to the final corner, wrestling this kart with cold tyres over the finish line, and let's see where we come. So we come in P9. Not the best lap time there. Struggle with cold karts. It's something that I've always struggled with, but you can't just race midday on nice warm karts. You have to learn how to deal with cold karts and the best way to drive them. 8.5 tenths or 8.2 tenths off of pole. So couple of tenths slower than my third place position of round 2. But there's a lot of talented drivers in this race, and I did what I could. I just felt like maybe kart 14, it didn't have the bottom end to deal with these slower corners, which is probably made a bit worse by being completely cold. But hey, this is just a driver blaming his car, as you normally get. But we're starting the race, so forming up, and bam, you see that I just got a hit from behind from my mate Josh, and it shoved my seat back. So you would have seen me there with my left hand side down, trying to adjust the seat before we go green. I did undo the seat, pull it forward and tighten it back up again, but I pulled it too far forward from what I really would have wanted. So now I'm in the car in a seating position that is not necessarily ideal for how I want. And yeah, we can be very particular about our seating positions and where the pedals are. And you either cope with where it is, or you start to struggle. I'm trying to keep up with the others, but bear in mind I'm not sat exactly where I want to be. And yeah, we just have to cope. So away we go. Let's see what we can do. That's right. Trying to keep up with the rest of the pack. These early races, the times are down. Try and follow their lines. I do have Josh behind me, and so I'm taking a bit of a defensive line, but as you could see yesterday, depending on how long you defend, it can really slow you down, so I just need to focus and push forward. Worried about certain areas where he might find he loses time because of condensation. So as we come round to the final corner on the lap, Josh Green decides to pit. There's nothing to see on the live stream there, but I spoke to him afterwards, and he said he felt like he had the measure of me, and if he could put in some good lap times, he would get past me. So that's going to put him in clean air to focus on driving as quick as he can, not having to try and overtake, which this worked for quite a few people on this layout, and he's decided to try and give that a go. It's released me a bit. Now on this straight, as you can see there, my left hand's going down. I'm deciding to adjust my seat again, maybe stupidly. I should have just coped with where it is. I just needed to come back a little bit more, and yeah, I thought, let's do this now that Josh isn't chasing behind me. But look at this giant gap it's put. I chose a bit of a... Well, there is no optimum place to do it, but I guess on straights would be the thing, and I didn't do it as quick as I wanted to, which compromised me through the corners. And now there's a big old gap from 9th to 8th place. I've got my work cut out on me now. Look, I'm still adjusting this seat, still trying to do it up. And yeah, now we've just given us more work to do, really. I should have stuck with where I was sat and adapted. Your adaptability is one of the key things, one of the key skills to work on. Just dealing with what kart you're given, dealing with your seating positions, where your pedals are. Sometimes things aren't always perfect, but how you adapt to the kart is a key skill, let's say. So anyway, I've adjusted my seat, feeling a bit better with it now, and now we just have to focus, keep our heads down. You might be asking why the seat went back with what would have seemed like a bit of a minor tap. Well, over the weekend, the marshals and the staff had been saying some of these seats, some of the tightening bolts on the seats have broken, where drivers have done them up too tight. You get in the seat and you crank it down just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, and really it wears away the plastic parts that keep it in place. So I was a bit mindful of that. Being asked to just tighten it up as much as possible. I was checking it in the pit lane, tighten it up, and then push on the brake pedal to give it some pressure to see if it would move back, and it wasn't, so I thought it was tight enough. And obviously that little tap behind me as we were on the rolling start, it wasn't tight enough, so I've tried to tighten it as much as possible without breaking it, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Focus now, try and keep our head down. We are closing this gap a little bit, just as the drivers, they're bunching up. We can take benefit of that and try and get up to the back of them. So that's what I'm focusing on now, and we'll see what we can do.
No one's biting any kind of apple right now because the leaders are all streaming through.
Well, we've got our first one now. It's Ivan Sharner. Ivan Sharner has come in, and this is, I think, a smart move. He was stuck in that pack. He couldn't push it too hard. He's got to think, what can he do? 2 green lights. He's back out on track now with clear circuits.
So Ivan Sharner there has just pitted. He is doing just what Josh has done. He's been stuck in a pack. There wasn't a great opportunity to overtake, so he's decided to take his pit stop, get himself into some clean air, and now he can focus on driving. Now I know he's got the skills to do this. He is extremely fast. He's Hungarian champion. He's been in the semi-finals. He might have even been in the finals of BRKC before. He's been a lot of people's hot ticket to win the event. So now he's behind me. I know he's going to be coming up on me at some point. I am trying to increase my lap times as much as possible, but I will have one eye on where Sharner is. I can see him there coming round. He's got the red suit, green helmet, just to watch the gap behind me there. So unless I pit and come out in front of him, he's really not part of my race. I just need to focus on catching other people before they pit, and try and make some moves if I can.
Who in turn is trying to close in on Public. It still looks like it's Updown Camp though, who has the fastest lap of this race. Now, if you are new to the BRKC and you are new to us in the Formula Fast, what happens is, with this kind of international format, there is always a pit stop involved. The pit stop involves 2 actual stops in the same visit to the pit. So you come in the pit, stop at one end, you'll see the light be red, and then we'll see it green. The driver will move forward to the end of the pit lane, where again the light will be red and the green. We'll be able to see that on screen, and then away. And none of these top drivers have been in, except for Ivan Sharner, the Hungarian champion, who's now out there on his own further down the order.
Upton Camp is still reeling in, Public in the lead, and still Ratford going with him. 1/10 of a second per lap, and on that last one, 1/10.5 quicker than Public.
Absolutely. Max Upton Camp sets a new fastest lap for this race. And there we're looking at Jamie Burke. Jamie Burke up there with the purple and black on his helmet, and he's really under a lot of pressure from Luke Evans and Joop van Lijn. Now Luke Evans is going to come in. Anthony, with you.
Yes, indeed, Luke Evans in the number 21 in the gate 1 here. Green light on that one. Into gate 2. Oh, he stopped very, very early there. He nearly missed the mark. Ivan Sharner's gone through. How good was that stop? Well, it's an 11.3.
So Luke Evans has just pitted there. He was part of that pack. and he's decided to do the same thing, pit, try and get some clean air. And I was hoping that he might have come out in front of Ivan Shana, which would mean Ivan would have to fight him. He would have to try and overtake him legitimately on track, and they would possibly slow each other down. We've got another pit stop there, that's Jamie Burke, so I'm hoping that all of these drivers come together and start battling behind me. Maybe I would increase my gap in front, which would put me in a decent position for my pit stop. So these are all different ways that the race can play out. You can see that giant gap as Ivan came round that corner there. He's really a lot faster than Luke and Jamie. So Luke and Jamie will be battling. I'm hoping to gain some time on them. But Ivan's clear of them. So yeah, I've still got to keep an eye on where he is, and yeah, try and push forward.
Brad, you've got something for us.
Bradford and Ogdenkamp just relentlessly reeling in the leader. The gap is gradually coming down. We're going to have a really good fight at the front in a few laps.
Absolutely, because the lap times now has come down below 34 seconds for Ogdenkamp and Charlie Bradford. These are the two drivers who are fastest out on the track. They say that, in fact, it's visual. Ogdenkamp is really closing on Stepan Pudlik. So Stepan Pudlik had opened up that gap. There he is there on screen with the red and white Polish race suit, Stepan Pudlik. He's been chased down by Max Ogdenkamp, the Dutch driver, and it's now a lot closer visually. It's 1 second on time, but there he is. They're both in the same shot. Pudlik, Ogdenkamp in the blue behind him. So there's Stepan Pudlik. Now he's going to have a fight on his hands because he's still got 11 and a half minutes before we get the 2 laps to go call and for the end of the race. So there is Stepan Pudlik. Now is Ogdenkamp going to fight him on the track, or is he come straight down the pit lane? This is crucial. There is a team event going on, so Ogdenkamp will have team members. You can see them waving at the side there. There is no actual communication to the cars in terms of radio, and it's not really the dumb thing to be waving a pit board around. But there is a lot of understood messaging going on, and so team backup, especially the likes of Bradley Shepherd Racing and the Belgian Blue Star team. Some of these people are very, very good at getting the message across and controlling the race from the pit lane. But controlling the race from second place is Max Ogdenkamp. He's also got Charlie Bradford in the background coming. There you go, they're the teams. There's Dylan.
So I've had one eye on Shana coming up behind me, and he's getting quite close now. So I've decided to take my pit stop this lap, just so I don't get in the way of his race. I'm not really pushing of anyone in front. I was hoping to gain time on Luke and Jamie, but we'll see how this pit plays out.
Michael Rayner in the pit lane for his stop. 2 green lights, comes out with a completely clear circuit. That was a pretty good stop actually from Rayner. Gets away with a 9.7.
Now that's the fastest we've seen so far. Those times in the pits are really coming down. Michael Rayner clearly the quickest pit stopper of this race so far. So
as you can hear from the live stream audio, that was a pretty decent pit stop from myself. 9.7 seconds, the fastest of the race so far. There's still probably about half a field to go. But yeah, it was. I felt like it was a little bit sluggish. You could see me in the pits, jumping up, trying to get the kart going. I felt like this kart was struggling with bottom end, which is you know, the initial amount of power that you get out of the kart, and that's what's needed on tracks like this, where the straights, you don't have a long straight at the end. It's all slow speed corners and hairpins. You need a bit of bottom end, and if I was to make a table of the kart numbers from the regular layout to the alternate layout, it was almost flipped on the head. The karts that were fastest on the regular layout were possibly the slowest on this alternate layout. And there's an exception there. You know, really talented drivers can get the most out of any kart and still have a decent result. Some drivers that I discussed this with would say no, that's not the case here, because it's all fairly slow anyway. You never get near the top speed, but ultimately, surely bottom end does mean a lot then, and especially with extremely cold karts. First race of the day, you know, they've been sitting overnight and just had the engines on for 10-15 minutes in the pit lane before going out. It's got to have an effect, but there we go. Blaming the kart again. Add it to the excuse book. But hey, Luke and Jamie, they got past me in the pits. I didn't make as much time on them as I thought in clean air, even when I wasn't defending. So that's just me. A skill issue, let's say. It's just a skill issue with this alternate layout. We are back in 9th place, and we're just going to have to try and push forward. Watch out for the front runners, which are coming up behind us. and yeah, try and push forward, see if I can catch Luke and Jamie, and we'll see how this goes. So yeah, on with the race.
We're looking at now, Max Obdenkamp from the Netherlands, and he actually won the Polish Championship last year, and it was actually in quite a strong fight with including Ruben Bouters, who we will see later on, the double world champion and 6 times winner here of the British Rental Kart Championship, the Dutchman Ruben Bouters. But there's another Dutchman, Max Obdenkamp, and he's looking very serene now on his way. He's looking at clicking these lap times. He's still the fastest in this race, and continues to push a very good pace. He's running at about 33.7, but Brad, looking at the times, he's been very consistent in that 33.7, which nobody else can match in this race at the moment.
Yeah, barring a terrible pit stop, Obdenkamp is the clear favourite right here. I think the race is now really between Charlie Ratford and...
So I've been watching the way that I've been driving, and I just wanted to bring your attention to the way that I take this corner right here at the back of the long left-hander. So it's quite a tight racing line that I'm taking there. And the reason for this, instead of going all the way out to the right and then pulling it in to keep momentum through the corner, is I'm taking the shortest distance possible. Now, a lot of other drivers have been doing this, and I've been watching all the other races on this layout. So I thought this is probably going to be the best line to take. Some people really benefit from taking that hairpin like that. Maybe it's not really working out for me. Maybe I need to take it a little bit wider. I don't want to go all the way to the right-hand side, especially with a cold kart and a cold track, as you might find a little less grip than you're expecting. So I'm kind of sticking to what I know and trying to push forward with this. But yeah, maybe it's not the right thing to do.
Looking at those sort of stats,
and yeah, you live and you learn. I'm not going to know now, but like I say, a lot of other drivers are taking it this way, and there's a bit of a trade-off between carrying momentum through and taking the shortest distance. Sometimes the normal racing line isn't always the best. Now, we've just had Max Obdenkamp come through there. He's just lapped us, so he's got some phenomenal pace, and while he's got past us, let's try and watch how he's driving. Let's try and learn from this. This is what I'm thinking in the kart. I've been lapped. I don't want to get in the way of anyone's race, but yeah, let's try and learn from the way he's driving. And he's already pulling on us. I'm not letting up or anything. And he knows his way around this track, which is obviously miles better than what we're doing at the moment. Going to try and keep up with him all the time, trying to push to catch up with Jamie and Luke, and yeah, see what we can do. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'm talking in past tense now, but let's see what can come of this race.
Pulling that gap and give himself that buffer so he doesn't have to do a risky pit stop. That's obviously what he's going to be aiming for.
And whatever happens in 5 minutes time, we will have an answer to that question. So we're looking at Obdenkamp with just under 5.5 minutes before we get the 2 laps to go board, and that will be 2 laps to go wherever Obdenkamp is on the track. So if he's near the end of a lap, well, it'll only be 1 lap and a bit, basically.
So I've got eyes in the back of my head. You've got to keep awareness of what's going on. And we've got Charlie Ratford coming through now. This is P2. Charlie is a phenomenal driver. He's one of the British favourites. And you can see the gap that Max has on Charlie. He's a bit behind, and Max has just left us in the dust, really. Charlie, amazing driver. I'll be watching him, trying to learn from him. But I just feel like these other karts, they have a pace advantage, which maybe this is this bottom end that I've been talking about. Just or I'm braking too much where I don't need to brake. What we've not been able to get to top speed. A lot of the drivers are taking what would be the corner at the end of the main straight without braking. And I was discussing this after the race, and my foot just had the muscle memory. I could not stop it from braking. My focus was not there, and I guess that's the adaptability that I'm talking about. You know, I haven't adapted to the circuit. So Charlie's come through. He's lapped us. We've been lapped by 2 drivers. Not a great feeling getting lapped, but it is what it is. I'm in P9. I've just got to focus on trying to get a few more spaces and not lose one if Josh is gaining behind me. So yeah, onwards and upwards.
Got him pegged at about 3rd or so. I mean, what's happening? You've got to remember, Andy, is that Brad's got numbers to play with here. So he's analysing numbers, and we're analysing what we think might happen or what we hope might happen. So we'll see whether emotion wins over, or feeling wins over maths.
Well,
so anyway,
we're about
maths.
Yeah, we're about to start finding out, because into the pit lane comes Bergson here. Let's see what he can do. Gate 1 is good. Comes into gate 2, pitting from 3rd place, 2 green lights. It's a pretty decent stop, and he comes out ahead of one of the back markers there. That's a 9.2 for a stop, very quick.
A 9.2 is one of the fastest, Brad, that we've seen this morning.
Yeah, so my pit stop figures here actually measure it in a different way to Anthony. So we've got 2 different
race
versions.
leader in. Race leader in.
Yep, okay, so Opdenkamp is in. Gate 1, good. Comes to gate 2. Bit of a slow getaway on the second gate, but gets the green light. He's got clear track here now, and Pudlik slots into 3rd place. It's now, where will Charlie Ratford pit, and how will he do it? The number 9 is in right now. This is Leinhorst, who's pitting from P5. It was a 9.7 as well for Opdenkamp. 2 green lights there for Leinhorst. He's back out on track. Relatively decent pit stop, but it's a 10.6.
Brad, you've got something.
Yeah, so just to continue what I was saying, my pit stop timing is slightly different to what Anthony has. Mine measures the drivers all the way to the start line, and that means I've got a longer number, but probably a bit more accuracy. Yeah. And Vexin.
So what we're going to do on this lap is we're just going to move over to the right and let Max Opdenkamp come back through.
Half-decent stop.
He's back on our tail. He took his pit stop. The gap he had in front of us wasn't enough to stay in front of myself as a back marker. And
was a couple of seconds back.
Yeah, he's come back through.
Look now at Charlie Ratford. He's the current race
lapped
leader.
Us again. We haven't been lapped twice by him. We've only been lapped once overall because he fell behind when he took his pit stop. But yeah, just staying out of the way of the front runners. If I didn't do that, I'd get blue lights flashing at me to say come through, say if I didn't have the awareness, but I know what's going on in the race. And yeah, staying out of the way.
Well, I suspect it'll be this lap because the pit's closing light is flashing. Ratford does have to pit now. He's got only 5 seconds to Opdenkamp. He's not going to be able to pass that one.
He's coming in.
Yeah,
with you.
Yeah, he is indeed. Let's see how well this goes then for Ratford. Gate 1, confidently on the brakes into gate 1, gets the green light. Into gate 2, little cautious this time into gate 2, gets the green. Here comes Pudlik. It's going to be close.
The numbers won, James.
The numbers have won, but Pudlik is making a race of it as Ratford has covered Pudlik and has managed to shut him off. What's going to happen in this hairpin, and more importantly the Snell? Pudlik is going to try and pounce while the iron's hot, but he is too far back. So yes, indeed, Brad, Pudlik's. We were wondering if he was going to be second. You had him pegged as third, and third it is. He's got a comfortable gap between him and Vejgren, but he's trying to the outside, and he's really making Charlie Ratford work. This is the battle for second place. Max Opdenkamp is some way up there in the lead, but there is Charlie Ratford second. There is Stefan Pudlik third, as the cars hop around through that hairpin. Very tight bit of racetrack. As Stefan Pudlik is still working on the back of Charlie Ratford. He's not giving up by a long shot. We're almost into the last 2 laps now, as Ratford is actually having to keep it tight to defend against Pudlik. It could cost him a little bit of time. They're not yet under pressure from Shimon Vejgren, but they're side by side down the backstretch as they come into this corner. Stefan Pudlik trying an outside pass, which he couldn't quite make work. Charlie Ratford's got the inside covered, so that only left Pudlik to try the outside. So off that hairpin they come into the revised area. They've got 2 laps to go, so wherever Opdenkamp is on the racetrack, that dictates how much time there really is, because, as I say, if it goes to 2 laps to go, and the timer goes down and Opdenkamp is near the end of the lap, then that's just a lap and a bit really instead of 2 laps. Right, there's Ratford. There is Stefan Pudlik. Now, and they come through that all-important hairpin at the end of the backstretch where we see a lot of action here, including penalties into this final hairpin. And there they go. They're starting the last lap now. For Pudlik, it's now or never. It's got to be in the Snell area. He's trying to move to one side. Ratford is looking over his shoulder, and he can see that Pudlik's on the chart. So Pudlik takes the wider line. The wider, faster line. Now, this is an overtaking point, but Ratford's got it covered. Ratford's got it covered as they go through those tight corners there on the Snell. Now he's through the dog leg. Now this is where the action could take place. The checkered flag's out. It's going to be Opdam Camp wins. But what about Radford and Public? It's Public still who's in third place. That means it is Radford.
And we come around the final corner to take the checkered flag. That is our race done. So, not the best race for us. It wasn't the fastest quali lap, although the lines were tidier from yesterday's race, which put us down on P9, and there wasn't a lot we could do from there. Maybe if I didn't adjust my seat for the second time, I might have kept a better gap to the driver in front of me, and maybe I would have managed to catch up with Jamie or Luke towards the end and mounted a bit of an attack. But you live and you learn. It was a decent race, a lot of stuff going on around us, a good pit stop, and positives to take away from there. So if you've liked the content, please like the video, share, subscribe. There's another race from BRKC coming, and we've got more content planned for the future, so please stick around. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you soon. All the best.
Practicing a pit stop there. Some of the drivers not